Hi, Miss Russo. How are you doing today?
Well, how are you doing, Miss Brown? Good to see you.
Miss Brown. Oh, that's so funny. So full transparency, you know that I received a degree in education, and I haven't been called Miss Brown since I did my student teaching in the classroom, and so that takes me back quite a bit. So I love the fact that we're talking all things teaching and education today. Thank you so much for your time.
Sure.
So you are the principal of Little Rock Central High School.
Correct.
And how long have you been in this position?
Well, I'm getting ready to start my 17th year as principal here, and I was assistant principal for 7 years. So 24 years in this building is a long time, and the kids cannot hide from me.
I know that's right. That's a yes, ma'am. So let's talk about Central for just a moment, and you and your journey as well. So tell us, who is Nancy Russo? Tell us a little bit about the journey. You've obviously been at Central for some time. Where were you prior to Central, and what led you there?
Well, I actually started my career in 1969 in Port Washington, New York, where I taught ninth grade English. My ex-husband got a fellowship at the University of Oklahoma in Norman. So this Yankee over here ended up moving to Norman, Oklahoma. I'd never even met anybody from Oklahoma. I actually taught there 2 years and had we had our daughter there. And then from Oklahoma, we moved to Little Rock, where my ex-husband worked under the leadership of Governor Bumpers.
Oh, yeah.
So at that point, I took 3, 4 years off to be a mom, and then I spent 10 years teaching English at Pulaski Academy, a private school. So I've done the public and private.
Right. You know, both sides of that coin.
Right, I do. And lots of times parents will call me on advice about that.
Right.
So from Pulaski Academy, I went to Pulaski Heights, at that time junior high,
Mm-hmm.
taught ninth grade English for another 5 years. Surprise, in 1991, there was a principal who had a vision, who thought that an English teacher from a junior high could be an assistant principal at a high school. And so I moved to Central in 91, where I stayed for 7 years. Went back to Pulaski Heights in 1998, where I was principal which is a feeder school to Central. For 4 years, I was principal there. And then this wonderful director, the superintendent of schools, had agreed that I could come to Central, and that'll be 17 years ago. So I've been here ever since. So I taught English for 18 years, and the rest of the time I've been in administration.
And so how give me that math real quick.
44 years.
There we go. There we go. Yes, ma'am.
Almost my daughter's age.
Well, thank you so much for your service in the classroom, because students are very blessed to be.
I loved it. I did. I loved it. It was hard to leave.
Yes. It was not easy for me to make the choice to not stay in the classroom and to pour into students. It's very much a childlike joy to be in the presence of students, and their desire for learning and to pour into that is a real joy. It truly is. I understand that. So, so you've been at Central, and you're a tough lady. You are. I mean, there is an art to truly being a tough lady and a first lady, and you are both, Miss Russo. I've witnessed it. I don't think I've been able to share with you yet that when I was doing my undergraduate training, I did 40 hours of observation at Central High.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it was eye-opening, and brought my little naive self up there, and I got a true awakening to a different side of education. And you juggle a lot by managing the ship there at Central High. How do you do that? How do you wear so many hats?
Well, first of all, it's all about team. I've been here a long time, so over those years I've been able to work with my teams, my departments, and we've selected wonderful teachers. A lot of the teachers have come here in the past 17 years. So if you have a strong team and the team supports you, and you're the type of leader, which I believe I am, which is all about collaboration and ownership, then you have a really strong foundation to provide the kids with a climate where they can be very successful. So I think that it's about team. You can have a good leader, but have a weak team and it won't work.
Right.
Central, what's interesting about this, and you probably will find this interesting, is Central is 91 years old, this building.
Wow.
And in those 91 years, there have only been 12 principals.
Really?
And of those 12 principals, 5 of them were only here from 1 to 5 years.
Well,
So the other 7 of us have been there for a very long time. And I think that makes a big difference when you have consistent leadership. For example, I've been with the district since, I think this is my 33rd year in our district. I've had 22 superintendents.
Wow. Yeah.
So do you see the difference? There's that consistency of leadership.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm hearing a lot of a lot of lessons right there in just that little bit. So I hear a lot of leadership lessons in that, Ms. Rousseau. Consistency. You're very humble in the sense that you're giving a lot of the growth and the opportunity to those that serve along beside you.
Oh, absolutely.
And with you, because it is a team effort. The glory does not go to the top of the food chain. It goes to everyone, and a good leader must do that. And a lot of times when we lead with ego, everything will fall. And I think we've seen that in a lot of leadership opportunities, not just in education, but in all businesses. And you obviously have led with your heart, because you obviously love being with students and with those who are passionate about education. And when you lead with your heart, profitability, whatever it may be, whether it's this excelling of the student in the classroom, will happen, which that is definitely the case with Central High. Test scores prove that. And so then the other thing that you've shared is building that team and pouring into those who are on the team, so that then the benefit for the student occurs. And so I love all those leadership lessons that you're exemplifying, and we should use those across the board, not just in education, but in all of our industries.
I agree.
Absolutely. There's so much to learn from you. I love speaking with you so much.
Yeah,
and so but you manage so many things within Central High. What is the student population within your school?
Well, it's interesting. When I came here in 2002, I think we had around 1900 students, and we've grown considerably. Right now we have over 2,500 students registered here for the year. I think that the success of Central in terms of climate, and I'm a proponent of culture and climate. Because I don't care how many wonderful academics you have in your school. I mean, we have 35 AP classes. We have classes for every child, from remedial classes all the way to the top. But you have to have a good culture. And I think a culture comes out of having a heterogeneous student body. And the beauty of Central, which of course to me embraces the history of what we went through in 1957, is that currently at Central High School, we have students in our school who come from 26 different countries.
Wow.
And who in their families speak 27 different languages.
I love that so much.
I think that has a lot to do with the success of this school. And at the same time, we have 1,100, more than that, like almost 1,150 children who are economically disadvantaged. So you take this combination of children and you put them all together, and it's miraculous. It works.
It works. Because so much of education is exposure. And just by attending Central, your child has that economic exposure that they don't receive in so many areas. And then on top of it, they have academic exposure because of the wide variety of courses they're allowed to take.
Correct.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to point this out. I know you won't. However, I believe that culture in any industry, in any institution, starts with leadership. If you don't have a culture-minded leader, then the rest of your company, department, your school will not have that same culture mindset. And so that culture within your school starts with you, Miss Rousseau. So hats off to you. Thank you so much for your culture in your leadership.
Well, thank you.
And I really think that in my point of view is, and it's just mine, and let it be clear that if we have a model that works, why are we reinventing the wheel? Why don't we replicate that model and say, what's the secret sauce? What is it that works? And you're obviously knocking it out of the park and have for some time. And so we should be looking to Central High and saying, look here, it's doing fantastic and phenomenal things. We should be making that our model, our precedence, and replicating it across the board within our district. So thank you so much for all that you do, you have been doing. And for those that don't know, Little Rock Central High is a Little Rock landmark. It is a landmark within our country. And so it was one of the first to be integrated in 1957. And you had mentioned that earlier. And it is something that the students do have exposure to within our American history and our Arkansas history. And that really needs to be shared. That message really needs to be shared a lot more, not with just our students, but with our entire population. And so share with us a little bit about the history of Little Rock Central High.
Well, the beauty of Little Rock Central and its history is that in 1998, we actually became under the umbrella of the National Park Service. We are a National Historic Site, and we have thousands and thousands of people every year who come to what is our wonderful visitor center across the street, which actually shares the history of Central with visitors from all over the world. Right before this visit that you and I are having, I had a couple from Czechoslovakia just come to my door and want to meet me. They've been across the street at the visitor center.
Awesome.
It's really important, in my opinion, and I feel very, very strongly about this, that what happened in 1957 was, at that time, a horrible mark on Little Rock, on Arkansas, and on our country, and in our country. And what happened here actually changed the history of civil rights in our country. And so we must never forget that. And so every one of our students, when they come to us, we just finished our freshman academy, where we where our freshmen come and kind of acclimate themselves to our school. One of the first things, and I've already told them this, that they will do in their 9th grade civics classes is go across the street to the visitor center, where every 9th grade child here will be exposed to the history of this school. You know, we have this wonderful partnership with the National Park Service. They're over here every day, even when school's in session.
Really?
They bring huge groups over here from all over the world.
Yeah.
And we have they have a route where they travel through the school during the day and get to see, you know, what's going on, what the history was. It's so funny because our students are like, they're like pigeons in Central Park. So you seeing visitors, visitors from around the world, media, etc. It's like no big thing,
right?
And I like that, because I think that the history of our school needs to be a part of who we are and what we are every day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and I love that. I love that the students get to know that. You know, and I shared with you earlier prior to our interview that my generation was not exposed to such a level of hate on such a public stage. And I have huge gratitude for that. However, it is so important for us to continually remind ourselves of where our country was, where we are now, and where we are going. And Central High does that. And we need to constantly remind ourselves that we have that here in our backyard. We must teach our children about it. And what a better way to teach our children about it than have them attend it.
And the Little Rock Nine are here often. They've been here since I've been here. I've been here through 3 commemorations. See, I was assistant principal in 97,
right.
and 2000, and then in 2007, Virgil Miller, a banker here in town, and I were co-chairs of the 50th anniversary of 1957, and then we just this past September commemorated the 60th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
So we will continue at this school, hopefully across the country, in history classes to study about what happened in 1957, yes, so that it will never happen
again.
Yes, ma'am.
That's right. That's a yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Uh-huh.
Yes. I love you so much, Nancy Rousseau, for all that you stand for, all that you do, and all that you're continuing to do. And so, where do you see Little Rock Central High in the next 5 years?
Okay, the next 5 years, that would be 2023. Okay, I see this school as a great place for kids to get a wonderful education, a place that remains totally diverse so that students are exposed to the cultural differences, of others. Many cultures, one world. Mm-hmm. I see us as a national historic site, remaining that way. Perhaps a World Heritage Site. We are being considered for that. I see us as a school that has the legacy of academic excellence that it has had for many years, continuing, and top-notch athletic teams for in all athletics, because I think that's part of the culture and the excitement of the school. And I also see this connection and respect for this school continuing in our community. And because I think that's so important, that network, that network that makes it work, because you have to have community support.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
I have the biggest PTSD. I don't know what I would do without parents.
Oh,
they help us every day.
Right. So, all those power moms and power dads, for sure.
They come over here all the time. I don't know. I'm not that crazy about the label power mom. I think it's more a woman of responsibility who is able to collaborate with stakeholders to make an institution work. And education is an institution. I am very pro public school, although I have been in a private school as well. But having moved to public school, I think public education is so very important. And we need community support.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I so appreciate you, Ms. Rousseau. And I do identify with the term power mom, because that is who I am right now. And I'm sure one day I'll be a power grandma, and I'm good with that too.
I am that too.
There you go.
There. In fact, I could not do this job without my husband of 40 years.
There you go.
He himself is self-actualized and understands that I spend 24/7 time over here.
Yeah.
Supports that. So that makes a big difference. It really
because it's your passion.
Mm-hmm. I love what I do. I love my job.
Mm-hmm. And I love that. I love your servant leadership, and I love how you lead with your heart. And I love that because the students benefit from that the most.
Well, I'm very into the kids. I don't spend time in my office during the school day. I'm in the halls. I go to both lunches every day, which gives me the opportunity to communicate with my children. When you go into a classroom and you're observing a teacher, you're a visitor. But right. When you're actually in the halls and in the cafeteria, etc., and that's when you get to connect with the students.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time, Ms. Rousseau. I know it's a very valuable commodity, and I wish you a wonderful new school year for 2018-2019.
Thank you. I've really enjoyed visiting with you. I appreciate what you do by putting out these stories about our community folks and what they do to give back. So,
absolutely. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.